What's poppin', gang? My name is Normal Vector. A little bit of a rebrand and a visual overhaul, but it's not important. I don't want to see any comments down below about that. See, I've been working on Eclipsic since I was just a young lad, but progress has not been linear. This is Eclipsic Legacy. You probably just knew it as Eclipsic. Eclipsic Legacy, and now only a few of you know of Eclipsic Legacy. But deep in the ancient tombs of P5.js, written in the long-dead language of JavaScript, is Eclipsic Legacy. And to go even further beyond, even more ancient, in the deepest canals of internet history, when I was 14 years old, Eclipsic Legacy times 5. And they all suck, I'm being serious, don't play any of them. The very earliest iteration of Eclipsic is just a tech test. None of what is now Eclipsic was even planned. It was made solely to impress my coding teacher at the time. The second iteration displays the first spark of evolution. I mean, it has infinite world gen and a full boss progression. Final boss even gets harder the more you beat it, but the physics suck and you have to use the arrow keys to select items. The third one, we don't talk about that one. The fourth one is playable, I guess, but there's still something off about it. At least it brought textures to the series for the first time. The fifth and final iteration, Eclipsic proper, is probably the most Eclipsic of them all. It's ambitious, attempting modding and multiplayer for the first time in my career, and you can tell because it still sucks doo-doo cheeks. All of these engines have been failures in one way or another. Jesus Christ, do I even know how to make games? Maybe this game-making biz just isn't cut out for me. Maybe I should just spin up a Claude instance and have it make the game. Just kidding, I would never let a dirty clanker touch my source code. Here's the good news, if you would please consult the graph. See these data points? Extrapolate just a little bit and you get... Look at this thing, man. I'm talking better menus, better gameplay, soon, better FPS, better modding. This thing is better in every way. We'll get to each of those, but first, how the hell does a game have better modding? I mean, you either support mods or you don't, right? Basically, with the last engine, I had no clue what I was doing. I never thought about the ergonomics of the modding system, so I just did whatever was the easiest or sounded coolest. And it turns out that that doesn't really produce a good API. The modding system was comprised of a handful of entirely separate systems that each followed different rules for almost no discernible reason. I mean, look at this. This is supposed to be an entity. This is just a couple loose functions in a file. On top of this, there was no documentation for anything, so the only way to learn what was even possible was to ask me directly. Even worse was that I decided the best way to fix everything was just to add a JSON file, meaning each mod has a billion different Lua files, and then a few master JSON files that define everything. Which really sucks because it not only means that you have to hop between Lua and JSON files constantly, you also have to search each of these master JSONs to find the specific item or mob or projectile or particle you want to modify. It goes without saying that this ended up being a massive time sink, not to mention really annoying. Long story short, while Eclipsic Legacy is technically moddable, it realistically wasn't ever going to be completed. So after a few months of working with this modding system, I started to notice these details. The most glaring of which, of course, being Lua as the modding language. So I started looking at alternatives. WebAssembly, directly compiling code into DLLs, integration with another compiled language, etc. Each of these approaches have pros and cons, but if I'm honest, they're all way too complicated. I mean, I'm not figuring out calling conventions and dynamic function binding. So I set my sights on another scripting language. Is a scripting language famous for being better than Lua in every way. It's got static typing, a language server, whatever that is. Developed by Andreas Johnson back in 2005, it's been in active development and used in, quite frankly, a lot of things, including apparently Paper Mario, and now it's coming to an Eclipsic near you. Angelscript is a superior choice for a number of reasons, including the aforementioned static typing, but it's also just more structurally similar to C++, meaning it can be more tightly integrated with the game engine. Changing the language of choice is not the only thing that's going into this new modding system, though. I've had first-hand experience with actually creating content using the old system, and I'm gonna be honest, describing the coked-out decision-making as just a few pain points would be putting it lightly. Like, for example, every mod had to have this gamehooks.lua file with a few completely unrelated functions in it. If these functions didn't exist, the whole game wouldn't launch. Most of these weren't even used. It's like the TF2 coconut except somehow worse. Thankfully, Angelscript allows the use of a divine magics called metadata, which is literally just a line of text above a class or function or variable. Metadata is absurdly useful because this text could literally be anything in square brackets, and I'm using it for better game hooks, content overwriting between mods, and config values. Angelscript also loads into modules visuals, which can each be reloaded and recompiled at runtime, meaning you can edit code while the game is running. Honestly, if you've never experienced hot reloading before, it'll change your life. Want to change something in Tmod? That'll cost you 7 years of your life, buddy. Change one line of code and now you have to close the game, recompile the whole thing, relaunch, and watch your hair turn gray while the game slowly loads 200 DLLs directly into the 4 gigabytes of DDR3 you can still afford. Eclipsic, not an issue. Change any behavior you want, just press Shift S and the game won't even stutter. It's just there now, it's in the game. Also, we have IntelliSense now. I cannot overstate how massive that is. IntelliSense will literally screw your no, that can't be right. Save your life. It gives you syntax highlighting, yes, but also tab to autocomplete, and a full list of everything in the modding API is literally copied into your workspace on a silver platter for you. The barrier to entry is actually so low now. You want to make a mod for Tmod Loader? You have to set up your toolchain. What in the 9 hells is a toolchain? I still don't know. Want to make a mod for Eclipsic? Download Visual Studio Code and one extension. That's it. That's all. But what is a better modding API if the things you're modding with still suck? So I went and improved everything else too. The previous UI system sucked big time. There were windows and there were elements and you couldn't nest anything. I mean, look at this. Nothing was polymorphic. I just wrote new loops for every type of UI element. Somewhere in Quora, a CS expert just died of a heart attack. So I redesigned it. Everything is a widget now. Everything. Widgets can be nested, aligned anywhere, with custom behavior. Even the text is better. I made my own custom wrapper which supports formatting tags like size and color to make crap look spiffy. Everything everywhere uses these text displays, so mods can look cool, even chat messages and item names. God, these chat messages, I swear to God, man, I mean, they look nice, but boy, were they a pain in the tuchus to implement. Many days were spent laboring to figure out why these infernal characters were not aligning correctly. And it's still hard-coded to avoid an entire mode of display I haven't figured out how to implement. But it's not just the UI and the text. The actual engine has been overhauled. From the entities, which are now more generic and can be anything from a mob to a bullet to an item on the ground, even invisible game logic handlers, to the blocks, which can now be hammered into any state and have fully customizable hitboxes per state, to the tiling system for the blocks, which somehow requires less spriting and looks even better than the previous system. Let me dive into that real quick because I think it's actually pretty neat. The new tiling system works by splitting tiles up into 2x2 segments called quads, and then instead of using full block images, it picks and chooses which quads to use for each block, allowing the engine to mix and match your sprites to create any variant it needs. So a sprite sheet that in Terraria would look like this can now look like this and achieve the exact same thing. On top of this, it allows for the engine to stitch together slab and stair variants for each block automagically, so you don't have to sprite those, which I know the resident artist has been happy about. There's built-in support for multiple dimensions too, which I know existed in the last engine as well, but it was never really used. Oh yeah, and you might have noticed the improved lighting. It's technically ray traced. There's actually 2 lighting systems going on here. A flood fill lighting pass, which you might recognize as being the algorithm that every other Terraria cloner version uses. This applies to blocks that emit light and skylighting. And then an occlusion-based ray tracing pass that some of you Tmod players might recognize from the smoother lighting mod. This will apply to particles and other dynamic moving light sources. You can see that these lights cast defined shadows, and that's because they're fucking sick. It's all handled through shaders, so it should be really fast on pretty much every PC, but there's a good chance I'll add an option to disable it for performance or visuals in the future anyways, for those lame enough to want to do so. Anyways, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for now. The game's not out anywhere officially yet, as it's still very unfinished. But if you want to mess around with modding it, or at least follow its development live, then you can join my Discord server here. There's more features I'm working on, and I'm very excited to talk about them, but I'm going to withhold those for the next video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Help me reach 1,000 down below. My name's Normal Vector, and goodbye.